Chapter 4. On their way back, as they passed beneath the dappled shade of the trees, Abraham found himself still listening for something. Off in the distance, occasional picket fire sounded, as soldiers grew restless or bored. Overhead, he heard the fluting call of a redbird, but he was listening for something else, something he didn't yet hear. "Abraham," said Lady Smith, interrupting his thoughts, "I've been thinking about Lamar." "Mm-hmm." "Well," she said, "he said his feet were tough as a lighter knot." "What's a lighter knot?" Abraham chuckled. "It's a pine wood," he explained. "The red heart of it. Takes a heavy arm to cleave it with an axe. It's as strong as a heart's wish." Lady Smith's mother was waiting for them at the paddock gate. "Did you see any soldiers?" she asked. "Mrs. Wills said there were Union troops up at the seminary." "Saw one rebel," said Abraham, "but they're all around. You can hear 'em breathing." As he led Charity into the paddock, Lady Smith ran over and kissed the mule's soft muzzle. "I wish you wouldn't kiss that mule," said her mother. "I love her," said Lady Smith. At twilight, Abraham sat out on his front stoop. There was a fine mist in the air, so soft it scarcely felt like rain. In the surrounding hills, campfires flickered like fireflies. He could feel a great trembling, as though giant wings beat on the air, fanning invisible currents that quivered and shook. He was listening, but he didn't know for what. He recalled a song his mama used to sing, something about trembling. "Green trees are bending, poor sinners stand a-trembling. The trumpet sounds within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here." Something terrible was about to happen, and there was nothing he could do about it. Music wafted down through the gloom, and then a chorus of men's voices. "Be it ever so humble, there's no place like home." He couldn't tell if the song was sung by Confederate or Union troops, but it was a sweet sound, causing him to ponder on the strangeness of the world, and how it happened that the first person he'd been able to really talk to in nearly 4 years was a white man and the enemy. As the song drifted away and disappeared, he got up and went into the barn. Charity turned dark eyes on him, trusting him. "We might be taking a little trip in the morning," he told her, "and we might, or we might not, have long to stay here." Then he went into his house and closed the door. That evening, Lady Smith wrote a letter to her father, who was in the Union Army somewhere in Maryland. "Dear Father, today I met a Johnny Reb. He is tall and skinny and does not have any shoes. His name is Lamar. If you see him in battle somewhere, please do not shoot at him. He is very nice. We have not seen any war yet, but there's troops here. We don't have any more sugar, and I hate molasses. Your loving, Lady Smith. P.S. If they are shooting at you, please stay low. Let the bullets go over your head. Mama is sending you some socks she made." A few miles away, Lamar was writing to his sister, Pearl. A light rain had begun, and he sat under the sheltering branches of a tree, bending into the lamplight. There was an air of goodwill, lightheartedness in the camp. Nearby, a man was hawking some kind of medicine. "Guaranteed to cure what ails you," he vowed to 2 young recruits who stood listening to his promises. There was a smell of roasting meat in the air, and somewhere through the rain came the thin sound of a harmonica. "Dear Pearl, I take pen in hand to write to you. I don't have anything to bear on to write, so forgive the lines. This is the last good paper I have. My pen is a turkey feather, and I do not know how long it will last, but I will keep sharpening it. Pen points cost $1 apiece and are scarce at that. We don't get but $11 a month for being in the Army. The ink is pokeberry, a fair pink to begin with, but will fade. Real ink is too dear. one of the boys wrote this poem. My pen is bad, my ink is pale. My love you will never fail. This should be told to a girlfriend, but since I don't have one, you will have to do. The boys is cooking supper, and some is playing cards. I have not had word from you in some while now. How is the crops? Write me ever particular? How high is the corn is? How is old Blue? He misses hunting with me, I know. How is my mule? I saw a fine mule here today, belongs to a colour man who used to be a slave. He talked to me just fine. The wheat fields here looks like heaven's streets of gold. Please write to me. I feel mightily down when the mail comes and the others get letters and I don't. But it has not been that way often. I remain your brother, Lamar. At his house, Abraham lay in the darkness listening to the tick of the clock that sounded like his own heartbeat. He knew what had irked him during his conversation with Lamar, and he wouldn't ignore it. He would take action. The way he figured, it wasn't right for folks he didn't even know, white folks at that, to be fighting against slavery, and he wasn't there to help. Of course, it wasn't all his fault. At the start of the war, coloreds weren't allowed to fight. It was plain dumb, but there it was. But the United States Congress had changed that, and now they could. He didn't want anything to do with guns or shooting, but he could sure drive an ambulance wagon. After all, he had the finest mule in the country, in the North or South. It was funny when Abraham thought about how he'd reached his decision to join the army. It had been Lamar, a rebel soldier, who had made him see the need to go off to battle.